Hey everybody, I'm John. I collect cards. Hope you're all doing well. It is Saturday, May 11th. I'm recording this in the early evening, and this morning I was actually at a card show. There was a card show here near my hometown, or pretty much in my hometown, the Southwest Michigan Spectacular, as it's called, and I think it was, I'm not sure if it was the first time for it. It might have been because I don't recall it actually, to be honest, in years past. But it was a pretty good show. It was over 150 tables. It was mostly modern, as one might expect, but there was a good amount of vintage as well. And so I got was able to do a good amount of perusing, and I made a few pickups as well. So I'm going to turn the phone around, share those pickups from today as well as a few I've made in recent weeks as well. Since the Strongsville show a couple weeks back, I've kind of been active still. So let me get right to those pickups. Hang on a sec. Okay, I'm going to try to zip through these cards that I picked up both today at the show and in recent weeks, the last like 2 to 3 weeks. But first, I wanted to mention really quick that this has been an interesting week here in Southwest Michigan, to say the least. We had an EF2, almost EF3 tornado come through this part of the woods, and it was actually quite close to my house. Thankfully, our neighborhood came away unscathed, but a lot of businesses got hit here, and it's going to take a little while to rebuild. So, in terms of being in the just as a community member, my thoughts are going out to people here in here in my town and kind of the surrounding area, for people who've been impacted. It has not been a small number, but thankfully no one lost their lives. There have not been any fatalities, as far as my understanding goes, from what happened on Tuesday here. But just thought I'd share. Like I said, it was an interesting week. We were without power. Our power was out for over a day and a half, about 30 hours total. So yeah, just kind of a unique week. But the show went on Saturday in Kalamazoo, and it was busy. It was pretty good. It was again, like I said, a good show. And the first pickup I made there was this 1962 Topps Orlando Cepeda. He had it in a half off case, so I got this card for $10. And yeah, it's just a really nice card. I kind of went into the show. I actually went with my daughter to the show. She was looking for some Pokemon stuff. She came away with that. I came away with some vintage cards, or mostly vintage cards. And so yeah, we had a nice like couple hours there today at the Southwest Michigan Spectacular, as they called it. Here's the back of this card. I was kind of just, it wasn't really a strategy for today. I just wanted to find some nice cards. So I think I kind of leaned toward just eye appeal. I wasn't trying to like look for high-end stuff necessarily. I just wanted to find some good cards and see what I saw. And so first thing I did was pick up this one. Again, like I said, for $10. It's got a little bit of a wrinkle right coming off the top. Really small though, and it's kind of hard to see. I likely won't grade it. Even though he is a Hall of Famer, he just is undervalued in my opinion, quite undervalued. But I thought overall that was kind of a nice way to start the day. And then the next pickup I made, just kind of walking around. I think while my daughter was looking at some Pokemon stuff, I just was at a table and saw some current autographs, and there was lots of modern autos. But I picked this one up for $5. It was a Clark Schmidt 2021, maybe Gypsy Queen, or 21 Gypsy Queen auto. Clark Schmidt seems to be finally making his mark in the Yankees rotation this year. He's sort of been up and down for a while, but he's off to a really good start. I got this for $5, so I just thought I'd grab that today. And then the next stop I made, or the next purchases I made, I should say, was at a table of a dealer who was actually at Strongsville a couple weeks back. It was Fat Daddy Sports. Tony Gordon is his name, so in case any of you know him. Apparently, we had a good conversation. I was looking at his stuff for quite a while, good several minutes. One of the better vintage tables here at the show today, here in Kalamazoo. And I ended up making 2 pickups. He says he's been going to Strongsville for like 15 years, and like I said, he's from the Chicago area. And yeah, he had lots of good stuff there today. I came away with 2 raw pickups. I picked up the 71 Topps Willie Stargell and a 74 Topps Thurman Munson. Eventually I'll complete a Thurman Munson run. I still need a few. I still need a 78. I need his 75, both base and mini. I do want to get both. And I also want to get his 72 in action, which I don't have. And I think those would be, that would be it, actually, for completing the run. So I got these together for 40. I probably could have maybe asked a little lower. I put out 40. And he took it after a thought for a little bit. But, you know, we had a good conversation, and I was sort of like, I looked at like his, you know, he had Gaudis out there and Diamond Stars, and he didn't have like big names. He had some, but just didn't find quite the right like pre-war that I was maybe hoping to find there at his table. But I was looking at his cases for a good while, so I wanted to come away with something, and I didn't want to sort of, sort of do a tug of war over $5 or whatever. So 40 it was, and again, these are decent eye appeal cards. For a while I thought the 71 Stargell, I really liked this card, and it's one of his best years with the Pirates, and the Pirates won the series that year. For a while I thought I wanted to find a slabbed copy of this and maybe like a 7 or something, get a really high grade of this one. In the end, I just wanted the card, and I found a card that to me was nice enough for me. If I were to grade it, which I most likely won't, it would probably be a 4. And so I'm not going to do that. Corners are pretty good overall, and the centering's nice. The centering overall is pretty nice. It's got good eye appeal. And then the Thurman I will grade, because I want to get all of his runs slabbed, and I've been kind of enjoying buying his cards raw and sending them in to get slabbed, so I will do that with this one. It is a touch off center to the right. It's got some fish eyes. It probably won't grade higher than a 6. Maybe a 6.5. We'll see. But this one I will send in. I'm not concerned if I may have overshot that one by maybe $5 or so, but I'm totally fine with that. Had a good, it was a nice kind of, pleasant conversation with a good vintage dealer, and just happy with those 2 pickups I made there. And like I said, I was looking for eye appeal kind of stuff today, as it turned out. And the last card I picked up, I'm really actually happy about this one. I'm pretty excited about it, actually. Again, wasn't seeking it out, but just kind of, it jumped out at me here in one of the last cases and last dealers I was looking at before we walked out. I picked up a second year Al Kaline 1955 Bowman in a PSA 2. Now, gosh, at first glance, this looks like a VGEX maybe. This looks like maybe it could be a 4 and not a 2. But if you hold it at the right light, you do see the crease that comes in. And it is more than a wrinkle. I'd say it's a little bit of a crease, and there it is right there. Catch it right on his face. Hence, it's a 2. And in some ways, it's a little bit more, actually, of a crease. It's almost like I don't know, sometimes I've heard the term spider crease. So I don't know if that's exactly what that is, but gosh, it's hidden pretty well. But so, it gets that 2 as a result. But like I said, it's kind of concealed at most kind of angles. You really got to get it in the right light to see it. So gosh, on eye appeal, kind of at first glance, this is a pretty nice card. So I got this for $35. He had it listed for $50. Got it for $35 and headed out the door, and was very happy with this buy. It's right around VCP average for a 2. So considering I didn't have to pay tax or shipping, and it was at a dealer table, at a live show overall, I think $35 for this was a decent deal. I was pretty happy with this pickup. So, and it just looks good. I don't really have any. I think this might be my first slab of a 55 Bowman. It's not my favorite Bowman set, but it's so distinct. It's iconic for Bowman. So I'm actually really happy with this one. And if I understand it right, 55, Kaline's second year, he was all of 20. Let me look at the back real quick. He was all of 20, and this was the year he won the AL batting title. And he is, I believe, still the youngest major leaguer to win a batting title. So knowing that kind of made this card that much more interesting too. So again, really, really happy to pick this one up. And that crease or wrinkle, I guess it's really a crease, but it doesn't really show. I'm not really picking it up on the back. It's kind of more of a front thing, which, you wish it was reverse. You wish it was more of a thing on the back and not the front. But I think overall, again, centering is pretty good. And eye appeal, again, I think that's a nice one. So was pretty stoked to get this one today. I don't use the stoked word very often, but I was excited about that one today. So those were my pickups for today. So, overall, I think I did pretty well for, was that 40, 50, 5, 90 bucks. 90 bucks, I think I did all right today. So very happy with how the day went. Wasn't sure what I was going to kind of be in for at what I figured to be an almost exclusively modern show, and there was a decent amount of vintage to look at, so that was good. Okay, let me quickly, as quick as I can anyway, go through some of these purchases I've made in the last couple of weeks, because like I teased at the start, I have been kind of active. So let's quickly do that. The first two cards I want to show, and these have been mostly, actually, a lot of these are going to be autographs, actually, and some of these have been through the mail that I thought would be of note to share that you might find interested seeing. But I'd say half of these are autos that I'm going to share, and half are just regular vintage cards. A couple have been from auction houses, and then the rest mostly eBay. So let's get right to it. The first two I want to share are actually cards I've shown before. So this one here again is my 78 Murray. I did not show it up close when I did my 78 Hall of Famer tabletop, which I did right when I got this Murray. I went right to a tabletop video, and so I didn't really get a chance to show the Murray up close like this. So I wanted to do that really quick. Overall, it's a nice card. I think this is a pretty good 8. It's got a couple of print dots up there. Left-right centering's good. It's a touch up. It's a touch up in terms of off-center, but not extreme at all. And I never did show the back on that video when I mentioned I finally got it. So here is the back. I think it's a pretty strong back. Touch to the right, but so overall, super excited to finally close out that 78 Hall of Famer run. Nice overall goal to kind of put to bed. An important one for me, being that it was the first year I started collecting. So, and I just love that card. It's just such a classic card. So 78 Murray. And then here's the card up close that I picked up on the most recent Bargain Hunters episode I did with Steve, Vintage on Vintage. I got a 1970 Topps Ernie Banks in an SGC 1.5 for less than $20. And I kind of chuckled the whole time as I was showing it because it's not a quality card. But the fact that it's in a slab, that I was able to get this for literally, I think it was $17.80 was what I paid for this card. And our little test for ourselves was to try to find a Banks card under 20. And, we both, naturally probably the first thought is, oh gosh, can we get a slabbed card for that much, for that little? And it turned out to be yes for both of us. So Steve's card was great. So if you haven't seen that episode already, I have a link to it in my description below. I encourage you to check it out. But here's this 1.5 of Ernie Banks up close, really off center. I mean, it just, doesn't need a whole lot of description. You could sort of see what's wrong with it all by yourself here. I did allude in the video that there's a crease running all the way up and down, and there it is. So it's got a lot of stuff going against it. But so there's that card. Just again, thought I'd give you an up close and personal one on that one. But still fun to have. And I'm really enjoying doing those episodes with Steve, and really looking forward to the next one on Roger Maris. That should be fun. Okay, now I'm going to move to autographs here real quick. I've picked up 3 2023 Topps 5-star autos in recent weeks. Picked up another rookie auto in Mark Vientos of the Mets, number 75. And I finally picked up a Hofer, a Hall of Famer 5-star, a Barry Larkin, numbered to 50. I did not have a Barry Larkin auto previous to this, so this was one of the Hall of Famers I identified in this year's 5-star, or last year's 5-star, I should say. I was targeting Barry and finally found a card that I liked and got it for a decent price. I can't remember what the winning bid was eventually, but it was pretty much what you'd expect. It was maybe in the 20s, maybe. I don't think I even paid 30 for it. Overall, I thought I came away with a good one on this one. So finally happy to get a Barry Larkin auto. He's got a really cool signature, so picked that one up. And then the big one I made just in the last week. This one was a bit of a not a stretch, but just I just was determined to want to get an auto of this Yankee before maybe he got really out there in terms of pricey, and that's Anthony Volpe. So I went in on an auction for this Anthony Volpe 5-star auto, number to 25. It turns out to be his uniform number as well, number 11 out of 25. And so just really happy to add this to the collection. He's having a pretty good second year. I think he's he's ups and downs still. He's still very young, but he's benefiting from a great lineup. But he's got a great glove, so he's a pretty good multi-tool player. As young as he is, I like his future. So happy to add this. He's got a pretty nice signature too for for this generation of ball player, given so many of them just signed their initials. So happy to add that one. Now I'm going to show you a few more autos from TTM of note. I pulled out 6 autos here. I've got a decent amount of through the mail auto successes in recent weeks, including Lou Piniella, who was $5. Super happy to get Sweet Lou. Recently picked up this Steve Sachs auto through the mail. He was $5. Nice one there. Thank you, Mr. Piniella and Mr. Sachs. And here's another one that was a freebie. Dennis Oil Can Boyd. I loved getting this one. Super happy to get this one. The Red Sox were my dad's favorite team, and I grew up watching a few games with Oil Can Boyd on the hill, with my dad wanting to watch those games. So I was happy to get that one. And this is actually a nice, for 88 Donruss, which I think is among the worst sets of all time, in my opinion, or at least in terms of worst designs of all time. I think that's actually a pretty nice photo. So, and I like having his autograph on it. There goes Steve Sachs on the slipping a little bit. Picked up this Greg Gagne, also from 88 Donruss, a 2-time World Series winner with the Twins as their shortstop. Then let's go vintage here. 1961 Topps Jake Wood, cost $5. Anytime I can get this era vintage autograph, I'm super happy to do that. And he turned this around in like less than 10 days. So thank you, Mr. Wood, for doing that. That was great. Love that. And then the last one here I want to share is another Wood. Kerry Wood. I was super happy to get this earlier this week. He is signing these. This was free. This was a freebie, and this is a 2021 Topps Archive Snapshots, one of those online exclusive sets that Topps puts out once in a while. I believe his son is a pitcher on the New Trier High School baseball team, and on SCN for the addresses. Basically, he's sort of like assistant coaching them right now. So basically, you write to the high school and kind of write to Kerry Wood, care of New Trier High School, and they're getting these to him. So, I'm putting that out there. Let's see if he keeps signing this baseball season. So if you got your Kerry Wood cards and want to get an auto, there you go. New Trier High School, which is a huge high school right outside Chicago. So thank you, Mr. Wood, for that, and Mr. Wood for that. Okay, let's get these autos off the way. I'm going to show a few more cards, call it a video, because it's going to be over 20 minutes here. But I haven't done a pickup video in a while, so I wanted to just kind of lump them all in here in one. One recent pickup I did was actually a double pickup. I, for whatever reason, found myself bidding at the end on a pair of Jim Kaat rookies, and I won this auction. So I'm now the owner of 2 Jim Kaat rookie cards. They both will probably grade out to VGEX. I'm guessing maybe just a VG, possibly. I think this one's the worst of the two, although it's better centered. Here's the one that's not quite as well centered. It's also got some print dot issues on it. Actually, that's just the dot. I think that's the main dot. Here's the back of this one. Back of this one's actually a little bit better. So this one could be a 4. This one could be 3.5 to a 4, I'd say. So I'm going to grade these both out. There's a chance I might go with PSA on these. I'm not sure, but I might, because I am actually going to finally do a group. I'm going to join a group sub for PSA finally. Because I'm not a Collectors Club member, but I'm going to do my first group sub for PSA here probably in the next few weeks. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. It'll take months, but I think the Kaat rookies are going to go there. And then here are 2 last cards I'm going to show. We'll call it a video. These are both auction house, like non-eBay auction house pickups. Made my first buy, or won my first auction on PWCC a couple of weeks back. And it was for this really nice 1965 Topps Gaylord Perry in a PSA 7. I got this for $19.20, if I want to remember right. It was 19 bucks and change. So I got a pretty, this was a pretty nice deal as it turned out. Wasn't seeking it out, but I was basically, I think I was looking at the cheapest auctions Sunday night, a couple hours or an hour before everything was wrapping up, and this card was among the cards that either had no bids or almost like 1 or 2 bids, and so I decided to get in on it, and I won it. And so I think this is a pretty nice one. So I picked this up. I'm gonna put this one right here. And then the last card I'm gonna show is my second auction win from REA. I won an REA auction from their big spring auction. It ended on April 21st. I'm looking at the catalog on the side here as I mentioned that. And so I'm going to preface it really quick by saying this was a card, or this was a player that I was seeking out at Strongsville, and just didn't happen. There was one card of this player that I was looking at pretty closely, but the dealer's price was just, the starting point was just too high from where I was comfortable being, and it was going to, like, it was at one of the biggest vintage shows, or biggest vintage show in the country. So it was a little tough to strike deals at Strongsville, but they could have been made, and I made a few. But for this particular card, the player was Frank Frisch. It was an E121. American Caramel from 1922, just wasn't in the cards, so I let it go. But then, wouldn't you know it, the Sunday night after Strongsville, actually it turns out the Sunday night after Strongsville was when I picked up my Murray. So I was buying that weekend. It lasted all weekend long, I guess you could say. So I got my Murray when I got back home that weekend, that Sunday night, and then that was the same night that the REA auction ended, and I found myself finding and bidding on a Frank Frisch card, and it's not the E121. It is the E120. I'm going to move Gaylord Perry off to the side. I picked up the E120 American Caramel Frank Frisch. I like this card even more than the E121. I just really kind of fell in love with this card, actually. It's only a PSA 2. It's janked up a little bit, but the color is cool. I like the color, like the greenish blue hue that apparently are for the National League players, and the American League players for this set are more in a sepia tone. And it's also centered really well. It's actually really well centered. So some of these cards, the centering is all over the map. So really happy about this one. It's got caramel staining on it, as you can see, along with some creasing. What I really like about it, along with the kind of decoration there, is the back. The back has the roster, including manager John McGraw, and it actually says Giants. Love that. The E121s do not have this roster piece. So when I realized that this was here, along with the kind of the added decoration and the color, you know, I can see some people might not like the decoration. I actually kind of like it, and it uses the same frisch photo that the E121 has. There's more photograph. The actual photograph kind of is bigger, but it's still, you know, essentially the same photo, and for the most part, all of Frank Frisch is still in the shot. The name and team is still kind of like in the vertical orientation, like on the E121, which I think was kind of an oddball kind of feature that I kind of thought was cool in a way. And so overall, I really liked finding this, and I got it for, gosh, probably about $100 less than what I would have needed to come away with, or you know, fork over for the E121 at Strongsville that I was looking at, which was in an SGC 3. This isn't a PSA 2, but that 3 was off center and didn't have as much creasing. Might have had like one wrinkle in it, maybe two. So the creasings weren't noticeable in this, but I really like this pickup. So there you have it. This was the last card I wanted to share in this video. And one note about this card, I think PSA, here's a little mini rant. I think PSA should be ashamed of themselves that they can't have a slab that can accommodate this card in terms of fit. So this card can float around in here. And I think that's ridiculous. So there's a chance that I might cross this over to SGC because they have slabs that fit these cards properly, and it probably will look better with the tuxedo anyway. And, you know, value be damned if I, you know, if that impacts potential value of this card, I might just do that anyway. So there you have it, folks. There's the final card I wanted to share here. I'm really happy with this pickup. And with that, I will call it a video. Take care, everybody. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you on the next video. Bye now.